grab Andrew on side. I'm going to start with my frames on the inside. So what I'm doing is I'm controlling the two major levers on the human body, which are the hips and the shoulders. What I mean by that is it allows me to redirect his force. I'll explain in a second. One of the biggest things I see that people have issues with is trying to get the space to move. And what they do is, at the moment, I can't use my elbow, so they try and push with their hand. The downfall of that is technically all I'm doing is pushing him straight back onto my hips. So, like, you know, I'm actually carrying more of his weight on my major lever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my knees in. So this will stop him from upgrading to knee rider mount easier, because I can get my knees in. Number two is I could use what I call potential kinetic energy.
He doesn't know what that means. He does not know what that means.
I have the potential. Same as everyone here.
You can't even spell those words.
B-U-T-T.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to use my force. Knees in. This is the hardest part about the entire move. Watch this. This is no hand, no hand, no hand. Kick, cop, turn my hip. So the trouble is, if I just do my normal hip escape, he follows me. And, you know, his weight still stays on me. But if I bring my knees in, it's quite hard for him to follow me. And even if he does, I've got this ability to turn to his direction. So the kipping motion, right? It's one of the motions that we use to get around is from here. What I see people do is they go to 90 degrees and they kip, and they basically just like dead flat. So basically whatever he wants to. Okay, so from here, what I do is I bring this over and I'm turning away. So what I've done is I've created space on the back side of my hip to move. What I mean by that is that makes it harder. The space I've created into upgrade. So I'm here, comes in, hips go here, roll my hip, so I'm now placing my partner. So let's just get that little motion going first. Potential kinetic energy, also known as kipping. 1, 2, 3. Just something that I just go back to the side control. Is I think when we're underneath side control, the basic understanding is that we want to create space to move. The downfall about it is there's good space and there's bad space. And a lot of the time here we get so desperate trying to move that we actually put ourselves into bad space. So what I mean by that is if I go bridge, hip escape and push, all I'm doing is I'm pushing him down, but I'm trying to get my legs through. So I'm actually folding him into the space that I want to move. So what I like to do instead is I want to try and shuffle down. So I want to do like the first time ever in history, a reverse hip escape. Triple escape, reverse hip escape. Now, the knee shape, you know how this knees over toes? This is elbows over hand. So my frame system will have the ability to hold my partner, where if I change it to my hand, there's no frame system. So it has to be structure. So to be able to hold my partner. So this is a really strong structure. So the downfall about it is this, right? If I just try to do this now and he lifts his head, I get put into a really stiff position. So we'll combo this together. I go kipping escape, we'll turn this into a reverse escape, and I'll move my hand. If he keeps holding his hand and lifts my hand up, my back's always going to be pinned to the ground by a new one. Where if I escape it, I have the ability to start to attack my partner. So, hands on the inside, we're going to go kipping. Now, instead of trying to come backwards and slide down, I'll raise my elbow and attack. So we're going into this position. Now, notice this is 90 degrees. I can back out if I want to. Once again, I'm risking grabbing my hand, so I'm actually going to move away, try to at least recover, go to a position. I'll grab the gun, it goes arm bar, pull this arm back. I've now got the distance, the space that I want. So the fault that I'm going to start doing, the hip escapes, everyone kind of talks about the bridge and the hips and the knees. No one talks about this. So everyone kind of goes hot and they're trying to push here. But it's really hard to do. If I just simply change it to my elbow, it changes the whole dynamic. So, kipping, slide down, turn, come up. Make sure your elbow is higher than your hand. Make sure your hand is not higher than the elbow. Make sure you retract your post hand. Your post hand here, you can't ever get up. So make sure you retract your post hand. So you get up. Change partners on your own size. 1, 2, 3. On the side, your right arm. Right. One of the biggest reasons that people have trouble retracting their right arm to get to a post is that they don't use it as a frame, they use it as a push. They don't use it as a frame, they use it as a push. So I go 1, 2, kipping, and they start to push. The downfall is my arm now is fully extended. Does that kind of make sense? So this is the whole reason why, is because we're not using our asset to our advantage. So let me explain it. So come in, kipping escape. Now watch this. As I turn, so I've got a space underneath my right hip, left elbow, my hand, I'm using that. Now if I make this that, I get even more. So if I push with my hand but retract, the downfall is Andrew's weight's on top of my, where if I'm here, the more he pushes in, the more I have the ability to start to rescue. So I really want that on this kipping escape. I'm not pushing. Wrap your arms. Bless the raptor. So, not pushing, not pushing, not pushing, not pushing. Elbow, not pushing, not pushing, not pushing. Pretty good position, you know? So it's just that the way that we're taught to push and hip escape, it does come in, but that's more like if we're defending the guard. So I don't want you to pass guard, I don't want you to pass guard. And then also goes, I'm like, okay, I will now retract to get it. So there's a point that I'm going guard pass. Once you pass over my hip area, I go side control and I'll put my frame up instead. Anytime you pass my hips, my arms up, it's basically armbar territory. Okay, so the small drill, I just reiterate.
That's a good one. You use that one right. You use that one proper.
Real good. 1. Okay, create space, elbow and retract my arm. Come up to retract it further, put a block in to be able to get what I want. 1, 2, 3. Andrew's on top of side control, and I have my frames on the good side. The motion will be like this: is as I start to my kipping escape, Andrew's going to drag his right arm, forearm across my belt line, and his right hand's going to go to the back side of my knee. So as I bring my hand in, he drives his right elbow, and his hand goes to the back side of my knee, and pushes my knee. So this means as I try and return, I can't turn. Does that make sense? So there's 2 things that are going to happen for me is I'm going to start to push away, which means my frames are pushing straight up into the air. The downfall about it is Andrew's in a super good position to capitalise on it. So what he's going to do instead is his left hand's going to go elbow over my head from here. Now, this is the hardest part. He's now going to release pressure on my right leg, and as I turn towards him, he's going to continue to walk to north-south and put his left hand between my arm and my chest. Commonly called a tea bag. So this is a great position for me.
The irony is he actually beats me most of the time from this position. So it is a great position for teams.
Let's have a look at that again. Okay, so on that side too. The thing about it is, right, is anytime I create space, you want to fill the space. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. So as I try and turn, you can't move. The downfall about it is he can't really capitalise on it because I can't move. So as the elbow comes over my head, I'm like wicked. So I'm going to continue. Now I might continue to frame, and as I turn, it simply goes round. Now, this is the key that I like is, see this hand? For me personally, and it could be the body shapes. I'm a smaller person, so I like to shoot my hand and I put my thumb inside my collar, opposite collar, yeah. So that means that by default, your elbow, that means by default your elbow is going to be front over. So if I try and turn, I'm carrying all of your weight. Where the reason why I get out of this is I make sure your elbow is backside of me, which means I can now start to do my tipping escape and carry your weight. Where if it's in front, I can't re-roll either left or right. So you've got better control. So for me, being a smaller person, this is what I like. The next thing that I like to do is I like to change the game. So I put my right knee behind my opponent's head and I put my right thumb inside the gi. Put the right knee behind my opponent's head and right thumb. And now, all we start to do is we drive our knee forward and we drive our elbow backwards. So all of a sudden I have to do what? Yeah, and now the world's yours because you can still continue. You can armbar, you can go to Kimura, you can step over. You've got so many options from here. The thing I found was that on the initial part is if you've got the one arm and your elbow's backside, we're in what I consider to be a scramble position still. He can wrap me up and all that as well, but the downfall of that is until your elbow's over, I've got this ability to use that against you. Not giving the game away. But so you really want to make sure when that is here. So you can, as long as your elbow's in front, but it makes it harder to wrap, but you get better control. So the thing about 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to be expecting that leg to come out, so I'm going to be haha, and he just goes, no way. You know what I mean? So now we can play the game. Or, if you want to make it even easier, as I'm here, you put your right knee behind my head. It never comes in front. You put your right thumb in. Yeah. So now suddenly it's like, I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Yes. And now you've got the options. And because you've got your thumb in the gi, the Kimura and the armbar comes on super fast. Let's do that whole series again. Yep. So, yeah. We're going to start off. So what I'm doing is I create space, you take the space away. I create space, you take the space away. Now if you come around the top side, so where the camera is. So now this is, I'm going to do what I'm programmed to do. My left elbow goes higher, which gives him the opportunity to shoot the hand through, either left hand or right hand. As I turn, you see this gets right up. We've got it. Nice. Now, I always want to make sure the elbow is front side. So this for me is terrible. Yeah. So this for me is terrible because he's got more options than I have. It can actually take my back. We're not going to. Well, we might have fun. Maybe we can. So I want to. Andrew wants to give me choices. So he runs his right knee behind my head. Okay. So puts it like right. So this means I actually can't. So there's only one way for me to go. Now, as I start to turn, if his thumb goes into the collar, like this, man, so I can't. Yeah, so, you know, it's like, well, whether it's that or that, you're putting yourselves in this position where the way I'm moving, you take the space out and I don't have too many more options. The best thing to me is the elbow over the body, not elbow behind the body. It makes such a difference, not to the person on top, you don't feel as much, but the person underneath, like, it limits your motion so much. And that hand in collar means that the arm's mine, no, where I go, your arm goes. Okay, you guys okay to have a quick shot of that? 1, 2, 3. This is right out of left field, so it's a little bit kind of a little bit out there, but the concept is pretty easy. So I'm going to make sure my thumb goes into the collar, but it's just a light thumb grip. I don't particularly mind what my partner does, but I need to make sure that my left elbow pins his forearm onto the ground. That's the whole key to this move. We've got a couple of backup plans just in case. I bring my knees in, I turn from here. Now this is the hardest part. This is I'm going to slide my arm through. As Andrew tries to bring his hand across the right hand, I just catch it and apply my pressure. Now, yeah, this is called a muscle block. The downfall about it is
For
that
the record, I'm about to tap. No, I'm not kidding. This is like, I mean, he's taking the pressure off now, but it's gonna hurt.
so the concept of this is that I've got to keep his elbow center line onto my body. I'm going to go small details. I bring my elbows in. I start to push his head up and I start to lock in. And this is where we get to.
That's very good.
Thank you. It's very active, very active. I thought you like your arm.
I love it. I love it. I just.
It's
Okay,
okay.
now I've got another thing I need to learn.
Adam,
That's three things.
what's the thumb doing in the lapel?
Okay. So what's happening is the escape is for him just to sit straight up with the arm out. So we're here, and I go kipping escape, boom, and I've got to trap that. So as he brings his arm, so I've got to make sure he doesn't get too high. You see that? Because now he's just going to kick, yes, got it. And now, my arm, and so the concept is, and not that they would, because they don't really they want to keep me pinned down, so they're going to do the favour for me. But if they've seen it before, or they know I'm a choke kind of person, they might see that as a threat, which is why it's kind of like that and not like that. Okay, so I bring my knees in, kinetic energy, pop, pop, and I'm trying to get as low to the elbow as I can. I slice it under my arm, so don't try to bring it, so I slice it under and I lock it. This is the hardest part. This is, I start to turn my knees, I turn my shoulders, and I start to push. And that's pretty much it. Tip. How good is that?
It really hurts.
Tim, your go.
I need to see this many times now. Yeah.
No, it's one you see.
I
You
need
can't.
to, no, I need to see it about at least 15 minutes.
It'll be on my YouTube video tomorrow morning.
It's one really good one.
1, 2, elbow higher, catch it from here. So even if I don't get the actual grip, that's still good. So what I want to do is here, I want to get this. Now this is the key. I've got to drag his elbow center line. His elbow is down, so I go hip, and here I get that. Now, if he pulls the arm out, I continue with my choke.
Yes, here, still put your arm out.
It's very just. Okay. So I'll explain to you, right? The biggest thing that you're going to have trouble is getting that hand to the opposite side. So it's a kipping escape, and we're going to go for the purpose of the drill. Bridge, cup, under. Pull his elbow. I haven't done it yet. I'll loosen that off. Turn my knees, turn my hips, pull it in. And that's me not putting any effort into it at all. Now, this is how stupid jiu-jitsu is. Jump my mouth. I go here. I go bridge. And I do this from underneath. Now.
Can you do that again?
So, one. So he's just kind of going, oh man, that's an arm bar. So I go, pop, trap it. Now, he can roll his arm out. So my goal is to make sure the elbow goes in. Because he's turned his right arm that way, elbow towards me to get the arm out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I've got to make sure my elbow goes in. So he's going to go, oh, and as he tries to move, it's going to give me this ability to at least start to get out of mount.
Is that done as the muscle crush or as a jump
here.
lock? Oh, that's okay. I'm just asking. You can just tell me.
No,
I believe you.
I'll explain. No more questions. Okay. So once again, it's calculated. So I'm here, but I've got a bridge. So that. Does that make sense? So I come over and I'm here. Now, the technique is if Andrew swings his elbow high, he can rescue his arm. got it. So my job is I'm going to push him that way first of all. So it's kind of more shoulder and tricep and muscle lock at once. But now I start to squeeze my elbows together. So it depends on how high you are and how far your arm is, where I actually get the lock.
The worst case, you keep going under. Forget.
Yeah, I'm just going to roll you off mount. No, absolute worst comes to worst is I want to get out of mount. I'll go thumb in, boom, I'll just keep pushing and I'll start to kind of go hip escape and I'll eventually just go, I'll get up. And the only way to get up is to actually throw yourself off mount. Okay, let's do that out. 1, 2, 3. Hey, I thought you were we're doing from underneath side control, not mount. That's not the class.